This is a recorded informational overview of the Colorado Division of Housing, Office of Homeless Initiatives, Office of Homeless Youth Services, Youth Housing Stability, Notice of Funding Availability for 2025. Welcome to all existing and prospective OHYS subrecipients and applicants. This is a pre-recorded webinar providing a high-level overview of the content and key information included in the 2025 Youth Housing Stability Notice of Funding. The OHYS Grant Manager strongly encourages reading the NOFA guidelines linked here for specific details. This presentation will prompt you regarding key information to be aware of and to read about in more detail in several resources, including the Youth Homeless Stability 2025 NOFA Guide, program models, and key definitions that are all linked at the end of the presentation. Please submit all questions regarding the NOFA on the YHS AAQ form, which is also linked here. Please note that you must register with the Division of Housing Grant Management portal, Neighborly, to apply for this NOFA. Please register on the portal and familiarize yourself with this platform and the application prior to the deadline. To submit an application for funding, you will be required to create an organization profile, upload required compliance documentation, respond to narrative prompts, and confirm official submission of the application. The topics this presentation covers follow the NOFA guidelines content and are as followed: the YHS overview, funding allocation and grant administration, funding priorities, eligible applicants and activities, YHS requirements, and resources. Again, a reminder that further details on these topics are provided in the NOFA guidelines. The Office of Homeless Youth Services is a program of the Colorado Division of Homeless Office of Youth Homelessness Initiative, or OHI. The vision of OHI is that everyone in Colorado has a safe, stable, and affordable place to live, and we create a future where homelessness is rare, brief, and non-reoccurring. To support this vision, the OHYS program administers federal and state funding to prevent and end homelessness in Colorado. OHYS is authorized to fund limited eligible activities to eligible and compliant applicants only. Additionally, applicants are evaluated based upon their alignment with Colorado's key homelessness response strategies detailed in the OHI Strategy Playbook, Making Homelessness History in Colorado, which is linked here. OHYS is supported by both federal and state funds. The department receives federal funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, to support youth ages 18 to 24 years old who are experiencing homelessness throughout the Youth Homeless Demonstration Program, YHDP, as well as state funding dedicated to ending homelessness through Proposition 123. Because our program funds applicants with federal and state funds, OHYS administers applications and compliance criteria to meet both funding source compliance requirements. This allows OHYS to adapt and adjust efficiently and effectively, knowing all applicants and awards are eligible and compliant in both federal and state funding programs. Ultimately, the limited available funding is allocated based upon a competitive procurement process that includes three key areas: alignment with the NOFA aim and priorities, compliance with state and federal funding requirements, and strong financial management and controls. OHYS implements a reimbursement model when funding contract agreements with grantees, meaning grantees incur eligible costs and then submit documentation of these costs for reimbursement. This means applicants must demonstrate strong financial standing and controls to incorporate the reimbursement model. In addition to documentation of regulatory compliance and financial standings, applicants also provide narrative and data to demonstrate how their proposed programs align with the funding priorities of the NOFA. These are to advance the statewide housing-focused continuum of services, to support local and regional collaboration, to use real-time data, to implement client-centered low-barrier activities, and to build reliable connections to appropriate housing and services participants need. Please pay special attention to the key program dates, including the application due date of September 21st. The announcement of grant awards will occur in mid-November, early December, and very importantly, the grant performance period, which is typically April 1st to March 31st, every year on an annual cycle. The cost incurred for the grant period cannot begin until April 1st. So it's important to note program costs will not be reimbursed that are incurred prior to this date, although the grant award notice may be many months prior. Please be advised that the 2025 NOFA question form has also been adjusted and will be due on September 12th instead of the initial date listed on the NOFA guidelines of September 4th. Eligible applicants include Board of Cooperative Educational Services, BOCES, for-profits, housing authorities, Indian tribes, local government, nonprofits, tax credit partnerships, tribally designed housing entities, who all focus on homelessness response, as well as community services, who include or target services to youth and families experiencing homelessness and provide specialized services for this population. Please keep in mind that all awarded programs must follow financial, data collection, documentation, and reporting guidelines per governing regulations. So it is important to ensure your program has administrative and financial capacities to comply with OHYS program requirements prior to applying. Requirements will be reviewed later in this presentation, but please be sure that your organization allows for rigorous compliance and oversight of a procedural and structural program that can maintain governance compliance. The Youth Housing Stability Program supports activities across the homelessness response continuum, including rapid rehousing, homeless prevention, and host homes. Finally, support for data collection in the statewide homeless management information systems, or HMIS, is also provided. Data collection can be supported in any activity or a standalone activity. Please read the NOFA guidelines and other resources provided at the end of the presentation very clearly to learn more about the eligible costs and compliance requirements for each activity. Particularly new programs you may be unfamiliar with or are interested in piloting as new programs in your organization. In general, each activity reimburses costs for staff, operations, materials and supplies, and data collection costs that support eligible youth and families experiencing homelessness. However, each activity is specific. We recommend organizations be familiar with the opportunities and limitations for each activity by reviewing the program resources. A few of the key YHS program requirements are listed here, but it is not an exhaustive list. Some of the requirements include documented policies and procedures, specific record keeping, financial management and controls, and YHS funded program data collection and quarterly reporting. As an applicant reviews the NOFA and the YHS program resources provided in the following slide, keep OHYS program requirements in mind, as we are also required to monitor grantees for compliance. So compliance with these requirements will be officially confirmed. Some compliance is confirmed with documented submission and application and review for thresholds before awarding. And other requirements are followed up later in monitoring during the grant performance period. Please take a moment to look at each of these provided resources to be aware of the content and format of each. The YHS Appendix Program model provides guidance on eligible youth housing stability program types, rapid housing, host homes, and homeless prevention, which outline core components, allowable and unallowable expenses, supportive services, and grant activities. It serves as a framework to ensure programs are implemented consistently, align with Housing First principles, and effectively support youth and families in achieving housing stability. The Appendix 2 definition, it clearly defines key terms used throughout the Youth Housing Stability Program guidelines and the appendix program models to ensure consistency, clarity, and shared understanding among DOH and YHS program funding applicants. Finally, we rely on an updated mailing list to share important information with our grantees and communities. Please be sure you and any relevant staff and leadership are signed up for the Colorado Department of Local Affairs e-newsletter and our YHS mailing list. Both links are here. This concludes our overview of the YHS Notice of Funding. We would like to thank all of our community partners and colleagues for your dedication to ending homelessness alongside of us. Don't forget, if you have any questions, to use the YHS 2025 Ask a Question Google form, which is also linked in slide 2.